line, and the Nets won at 104.90.
Well, the Clippers off to an 0-2 start, the new part of the season here. Defense, the issue. LA's allowed more points in the first two games, 235, than in any season since 1987. And they've had some bad teams since then. Monday, they got Portland, highest scoring team in the NBA through the first two games, with Paul George putting up about 35 a game the first two. Clippers seeking to avoid their first 0-3 start since 2010-2011. How about Luke Kennard? Oh, he's got buckets for you. Don't sleep on him. He will drop one in your eye. Comes off the screen there. Clippers up big. Then Reggie Jackson hits Luke. Watch this move. Now you see me. Now you don't. Oh, give me one more for showing out. 17 points, 17 minutes in the first half for Kennard. He was 4-5 from three. Clippers were up double digits at the break. Let's go to the third quarter. PG. Zubac. Oh, we alley-ooping? That's what we're doing. Chemistry on display here offensively from the Clippers, and they're just starting to pull away from the Blazers. PG, the steal. We're going the other way. Jackson, transition. Look at that old school fast break. It's impressive. Clippers would eventually get this lead above the 30-point mark. PG getting it done. He was not about.
NBA season has flown by, and now opening night is oh so close, almost as close as the Staples Center is to our studio right here in LA. And LA is exactly where we start. Stephen A. Smith's top 10 storylines heading into the NBA season. But not the Lakers. We'll get to them. Today, it's the Clippers' turn, and Kendrick Perkins will join us for this. Stephen A., the floor is yours. What Clippers storyline are you keeping an eye on?
Well, the Clippers storyline I'm keeping an eye on is the fact that, first of all, whether or not Kawhi Leonard is going to, or how early he's going to return. That's the biggest component about the Los Angeles Clippers. The other thing is that do you expect them to fall off? I do expect them to fall off a little bit, and here's why. You were in the Western Conference Finals last year for the first time in franchise history. Ty Lue is clearly one of, if not the best coach in the NBA at this particular moment in time. I certainly believe in him. But I don't know if this roster is going to get you back to the conference finals, because I don't know if that's going to happen. I'm looking at Phoenix, who's still going to be relevant. I'm looking at the Denver Nuggets with Jamal Murray coming back eventually. I'm looking at Utah. Obviously, they're the team to be reckoned with. And so when I look at the Western Conference, I would absolutely positively love, Perk, the Lakers and the Clippers to meet in the conference finals. That would be a dream matchup for me. Don't know if it's going to get to that point. I think that because of some personnel changes, because of the questionable health of Kawhi Leonard, I don't see the Clippers getting back to the Western Conference Finals.
Well, I mean, you know, when I look at the Clippers right now, and I look at their roster, and I look at Ty Lue, one thing we know about Ty Lue is that he's one of the best coaches in the game today, and he showed us that last year in the postseason. He tends to get the best out of players. And when you look at Paul George, right, Paul George thrives well when he's the number one guy. And we saw his confidence take a tremendous leap last year in the postseason, along with Reggie Hot Sauce Jackson. That's what they call him in the locker room, Hot Sauce Jackson. We watched Reggie Jackson. He got his confidence. He said the Clippers saved his career. And we look at that combination and what they did along in the backcourt in the postseason. They were one of the best duos in the NBA. And then you add Marcus Morris, a guy that has proven to us that he could go out there and get you 17 to 20 points a night, along with Big Zubac anchor in the middle, showing us that he could be a live threat, protect the basket, rebound. You have Nicholas Batum, who's playing a role that he needs to play in, meaning not being a $120 million guy, but being a guy that could guard multiple positions, rebound, and knock down corner threes. And now you add an Eric Bledsoe, who needs a coach like Ty Lue. I'm looking at the Clippers. Will they be in the finals or the Western Conference Finals? No, but they're going to be right in the thick of things. They are still a playoff team. And when Kawhi gets back, because I believe that he will come back off this ACL injury this season, and he could get about 10 to 15 games under his belt before the postseason start, you better watch the hell out. The Clippers will be right there back in the thick of things in the Western Conference Finals.
Hey, Perk, let me ask you this question, though, as my NBA guy, right? You my NBA guy, so I'm coming to you. What?
What you trying to say? What you trying to say? I mean, I love Perk.
No,
what you trying to say?
Hold on, Steven. Stephen A., I was going to get there to you, too.
Okay, all right.
As my other guy in the NBA, let me ask y'all something. I'm a billionaire, and I just paid 2 guys, not once but twice, to get me what? A playoff berth? I just paid Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. I got rid of Doc Rivers because we all felt that we needed to move on from Doc, which was the right move at the time, to hire Ty Lue, which is a hell of a coach, to get me what? An appearance in a conference final? An appearance in the playoffs? No.
Hold on.
Not at all.
Hold on.
I paid to win it all.
Hold on.
And they not coming close to winning it all.
Well, first of all,
It's the experiment. The experiment has been a complete failure, man. When I'm spending that type of money.
That's false. That's false, Keyshawn.
How so?
You got to let me answer you, bro. Got to let me answer you now.
Go right ahead.
Here's the deal. The first year was a complete collapse that they need to be held accountable for. They had a 3-1 lead in the conference semifinals. The Lakers were waiting for them in the bubble because the Lakers had handled their business. It was supposed to be the encounter we had waited for with Kawhi going up against LeBron. And they gave up a 3-1 lead. Then both Paul George and Kawhi Leonard folded in Game 7. Jamal Murray dropped 40, and that was that. Last year was different. Kawhi Leonard goes down, Game 5, Utah. They still pull out that series. And when they pull out that series, they advance to the Western Conference Finals for the first time without Kawhi Leonard. Your point would be valid if Kawhi Leonard hadn't gotten hurt, because a lot of us believe that if Kawhi Leonard had not gotten hurt, they would have beat the Phoenix Suns and they would have been in the finals against Milwaukee. But that didn't happen because of an injury to Kawhi Leonard. If he never got injured, Keyshawn, your point is valid. Because he got injured, that's what happened.
Injuries happen in the game. There's no question about it, Perk, that they was on their way to something possibly special. But guess what? It didn't happen that way. So now when we're looking at it, Kawhi is out extended period of time. You say maybe late year, comes back, get healthy for the playoffs, whatnot. That may not happen. And what if it doesn't happen and I'm the owner and I'm sitting there to continuing to spend money to get to where, when it's only going to get better, as you said, in the Western Conference. Y'all didn't even mention Golden State. Y'all didn't even mention that.
Y'all should have.
You ain't even mention. You just forgot all about them. Hey, look, Stephen A., you forgot all about them, right? and then the old team that shares the same arena with the Clippers. We ain't even mention them because they so old. We don't even talk about them.
No, I got them going to the finals.
I'm saying we just glossed right over the Lakers.
Yeah,
we glossed right over them.
The finals.
And so when you look at that, come on, man, explain that to me.
Look, Stephen A., I can't believe you actually felt for the bait that Keyshawn dangled out there. He caught a big old catfish, and that was you, all right? You fell for it. He threw it.
I'm not going to be stupid and say that a guy who's 6'7", 6'8", with his myriad of skills and championship pedigree, who just averaged 30 on 57% shooting in 11 playoff games, ain't no way in hell they going to win a championship. That's just ignorant. I'm not going to say that. What I'll say to you, Max Kellerman, is that I have my doubts, and I have strong doubts, and they're for several reasons. Number one, I'm on the record. I would not give Kawhi Leonard a long-term contract. I don't blame the Clippers if they do, but I wouldn't do it. Because even though I consider him a top 5 talent in the game when healthy, he's not a culture builder. He's a guy that grabs his lunch pail and does what he does. And at the end of the day, when the buzzer sounds, you know that when tip-off arrives, he shows up for practicing when you want to, working out when you want to, playing when you want to, and what have you. I just don't think that's a great thing. And from everything that we've been told, that's what he does. Nobody said he's a bad guy. Nobody said teammates dislike him or anything like that. I'm not trying to engage in that kind of cynicism. I'm simply saying, look at the games played. You know, the last few years, he hasn't played more than 60 games. I think the last 4 years. This man takes time off. and he operates to his own beat. And even though that works for him, it compromises everything else. It's similar to what I said, Max, if you recall, when Kyrie Irving was talking about we don't really need a coach. My response was, Kyrie might not, because he's electrifying, he's box office. But those other players did. And when Kyrie went down and Kevin Durant was looking for help, it was hard to find because of the lack of an experienced person on the sideline to make sure all of those dudes around them were ready. Now, I think Steve Nash will learn from that and be even better this upcoming year, and I think it helps that he's not going to have Mike D'Antoni on the bench with them, okay? But the bottom line is that was a hindrance. When I look at the Clippers, I think about Kawhi Leonard and how that hinders you. I also think about the fact that I'm thinking about Luka Doncic. And Luka Doncic in 6 of the 7 game series that they played, Max, 31, 39, 44, 42, 29, and 46. Where's the hell is the defensive ace that was Kawhi Leonard to do something about that kind of individual dominance? Because that's what Luka was doing to them, which is why the series went 7 games. We got to pay attention to that. We got to pay attention to significant competition in the Western Conference. The only reason why I wouldn't summarily dismiss what you're saying, Max, is because I happen to think that Ty Lue can make an argument that he's the best coach in basketball.
That's right.
Right now.
I've been saying it.
Because he's that good of a coach, and you've got some personnel around him, not to mention you got over that hump finally getting to the conference finals. The drafting of that kid Keon Johnson I like as well. I'm just looking at the Los Angeles Clippers. Do they have a chance? Yes. Would I bet my money on Kawhi Leonard? No.
Well, in the playoffs, it would be wise to bet your money on Kawhi Leonard because he's one of the all-time great performers. You mentioned Ty Lue. I believe he is the best coach in basketball. We saw it again these last playoffs. If you go back and look at Kawhi, a great offensive player, Stephen A., is going to get his. I don't care who's on him. You put Dennis Rodman on a great, but if Dennis Rodman.
No, you mean Luka Doncic, right? You mean Luka Doncic?
Yeah, Luka. I'm saying
right,
you could put whoever you want on a great offensive player. If they got it, there's not so much that can be done, particularly in this NBA, the way the rules are enforced. So, do you believe, yes or no, Kawhi is a great defensive player? I believe he's one of the greatest defensive players ever, even if he's not quite what he was a couple of years ago defensively. I'll give you that. He's still a great defensive player. You go back and look at the playoff series, like you mentioned, 30 points a game, 55, 58% shooting, whatever. Here are his playoff series, just going back to 2017. This is what he averaged in each series. 27, 32, 24, 33, 29, 30, 35, 28, 26, 24, 31. He's doing it on great shooting, and he's doing it with defense. Like, even if you think he's not a culture builder, any great team's going to have at least 2 max contract type guys nowadays, right? Can Kawhi be one of them? Yes, he can.
Yes,
and
he can.
He'll frequently be the best player in the series.
You cannot justify not paying him. Like, I think year to year. Here's what I'm trying to say, Max. I have no problem with Kawhi Leonard's money. I think he deserves every penny. It's the years that I have a problem with him with. Well, because I think durability is a question mark, and I think his level of commitment towards being something more than just a great player plays a role in here. The thing
that's
why.
That's why I like him, Stephen A., on the long-term deal, because if it was 1 or 2 years, maybe he doesn't win a chip with them. But remember, the Clippers have never won a chip.
Okay, that's fair.
Or even been there. You give him 4 years, I think he can get it done.
Okay, that's fair, but that requires trust. And what I'm saying to you is that when you're in Kawhi Leonard's position, I personally believe you have an obligation to be more than just a great player. You got to be a leader. You got to be the face of a franchise. If LeBron James pulled a portion of the stuff that Kawhi Leonard has pulled,
you never hear the end of it.
We would be all over him. We would crucify him. It's a shame, and Kendrick Perkins was right when he said that. It's a shame that Kawhi Leonard has flown under the radar and has gotten away with some of the stuff that he's gotten away with in hijacking the Clippers organization.
But, Stephen, I think part of that is how he lays low. You know, he's not on social media, doesn't talk much, so he can't fly under people's radars. You know, and I just want to mention one thing, guys. He is just 30 still. I mean, when we're talking about guys, Steph's older than him, KD's older than him. I mean, we know the Lakers, so he still does have
superstar. He's a superstar talent.
And he's a champion.
He's a superstar. He's a superstar talent and a champion. I'm just talking about when you talk about building a culture long term, you can't have young guys around constantly seeing that stuff. You taking off when you want, you play when you want, and all of this other stuff. That's not